Hey everybody, welcome to the Pound for Pound Leader Podcast. My name is Mike Kai. I'm your host. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. And we are here in my office, but I'm really excited about something. I really want you to go to mikehigh.tv and to go get one of the planners. I don't have one with me right now, but they come in blue, they come in brown, they're evergreen. You can use them for the month of February, March, April. You can start in any month. And they're on sale now for $65. As a matter of fact, I was at the airport just last night in Las Vegas, and I looked at their planners, and they're selling planners for $55, but they have nothing on my planner. They are actually just good pieces of paper where you can just jot down notes and thoughts for $55. Mine is $65, custom made. You get a Bible reading program, you got SMART goals, you got a calendar, you got journal notes, you got so much more, great quotes in it, and go to mikehigh.tv and download that as well. So I'm excited to be here with two staff members right here, Clint Chinen and Ju Would you welcome them to the podcast, everybody? Hey.
It's so great to be here, Pastor Mike.
I'd love
So
to interview
excited
you
to
guys.
be here.
It's going to be a good interview. So really, I got some questions for you. No, I don't.
Let's go.
Anyway, but thanks for Clint. Tell why don't you go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about how long have you been on staff? What was your first job? What was your last job before you came on staff full time?
Yeah, my name is Ju. I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you, Pastor Mike, for having me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been at Inspire for now 22 years. My husband and I came back in fall of 2002 and came on staff randomly 2009 as a part-time, very part-time youth leader. But before coming on staff, I was a stay-home mom. I was raising my youngest. Katie was 3 years old.
So
And
how many kids now?
I have three. Toby, my oldest, is 28, my son 21, and I have my youngest, who's now 18 years old.
I just saw her this Sunday, the weekend, just walking by. I said, "Hi, Katie." She said, "Hi." I just remember like what a great time we had. That she got to go to Europe with us last
Mhm.
summer, 2 summers ago. Basically, take a trip of a lifetime, and that was great. But okay, you were a stay-at-home mom. God called you. You did youth ministry. Mark's always on guitar on Sunday. What was your last job before you came to work
I
with
was
us?
just a manager at a local music store in Pearl Ridge called Music Mac.
What do you guys do?
Just sell instruments. I
Yeah.
was the salesperson, though. I sold so much that I got promoted to be a manager
The best
of that
one.
store.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny. There's a salesperson in you.
There is totally a
Absolutely.
salesperson in
Sales,
me.
sales is in your DNA. It's pretty awesome. Tell everybody what's your role now at Inspire.
Yeah, I am a central director and I get to oversee all of our ministries, our kingdom builders, passionate about Inspire Collective, which is our faith business network in the community. And I also get to oversee the next gen, which is flourishing, by the way. It's thriving right
Yeah.
now. It's on fire.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
from young adults
Children's all the way to college.
all the way to college. There's a move of God going on.
Mhm.
And it's a swell that you ride. You know what I mean? You put everything in. You put almost everything into it, and that's what we've done in the last year. We wouldn't have done this 7 years ago.
Nope.
We wouldn't have done it 5 years ago. Wouldn't have done it 3 years ago. But the swell is here. It's what we've been praying for. So you got to go with it. It's happening in spots across the world
Wow.
with young adults. My friend Jeff Osborne just got back from South Africa, where he was with the great Pastor Andre and Wilma Olivier.
Wow.
And they had 3,500 come to a young adults and high school conference for the whole church.
Insane.
3,500. And Pastor Benny Perez, Las Vegas, one of my closest friends, their young adults program is beginning to blow up.
Wow.
So God is moving in young adults. And I think now's the time that really good theology
Yes.
has to be taught.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not about feelings. It's not about me. It's not about I. You know, because then we're gonna lead them the wrong way if we don't correct the course early. But anyway, we are, so it's good. Anything else you want to add?
No, thank you.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
having me on your podcast.
Thank
It's
you.
an honor and a privilege.
Thank you for being on staff, and thank you for working so hard.
Thank you, Pastor Mike.
Welcome. Clint Chinen, everybody. He used to be a skater boy, sweaty
skate.
skater boy, you know, back in the day. And but now he is on staff and he leads our Mililani location. That's just one of our other campuses. Clint, what was your last job before you worked here?
So before coming on staff with Pastor Mike and Inspire Church in 2009, I just recently transitioned out of my home church, Hope Chapel Milani. But then for about a month, I was on a sabbatical. The church graciously provided for that month, and then a part-time position at Pac Rim Pacific Rim Bible College opened up as their tech director,
Mm.
and they didn't have online classes at the time. So my job was to build the infrastructure, get all the gear, learn from the New Hope video and tech team. And so I helped implement Pac Rim's online courses back then. So I did that for another year, and then you hired me on staff part-time in June of 2009 as the youth pastor alongside Ju, Mark, Frank, some other guys too. It
What
was
was your
awesome.
last secular job?
My last secular
I
job.
mean, when we say secular, just so everybody know,
Mhm,
um, meaning that you actually worked in the workplace like everybody else before
mhm.
God called you to full-time ministry. What was your last secular job?
I worked full-time for Locomotion.
What is locomotion?
Locomotion is a local skate and surf shop. And as we have seen in the last news cycle, that a lot of those companies are starting to go out. But it was a thriving local brand,
Yeah.
and sold surfboards. But I got to ride for them for a number of years, about 7 years,
Oh, wow.
sponsored by Locomotion.
Oh, so they give you a free board.
I got discount,
You
Pastor
got a
Mike.
discount. So
I got
you
free
rode
shoes.
for them.
Yes, I
You
rode for
rode for
them.
them.
But yeah, I worked full time for them, and I would drive all the way out to Hawaii Kai,
Yeah.
far east side.
Sounds like a good job.
It was a great job. It was the opportunity that was available,
Yeah.
so I took it.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
both had jobs, hard work outside of coming to church,
hmm
and sometimes when you never really had a job outside of church, and then you work for the church,
Yeah.
it's it's a different animal.
hmm
Like I don't think people realize just how hard people should work in church,
hmm
could work in church,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but I think sometimes people think they're gonna skate when they work here.
mm
Cruise, no way, no
No,
way.
they
hmm
think you're just going to do coffee meetings.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
Or Bible studies.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
read the
Yeah.
Bible.
No, no, no.
hmm
No,
There's so
no.
much more to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you guys say that your working in the world, so to speak, actually helped you in what you do here?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
100%. And I would even say my upbringing. My dad's a businessman, so he grew up with a very strong work ethic in me
Mm-hmm.
and my brother. He would often tell me, Clint, if you're gonna do something, don't do it half. You know what? So a lot of my upbringing came from that, and then entering into the marketplace. My first job working at 15, pumping gas, and then eventually to the local skate shop. You always wanted to do your best. At least in my household, in our culture, we wanted to do the best and be our best. So that's what we brought even into the ministry. And I give a lot of credit, Pastor Mike, to you, because when I first entered ministry, I was gonna quit because I thought I was failing.
Mm-hmm.
87 kids down to 7 in 3 months. And then my youth pastor connected me with you
Wow.
and two other youth pastors. And this was in 1999, my first full year of ministry.
Mm-hmm.
But because of how I saw you guys operate, and then you took me on a trip to Oregon, and I saw the reality of what youth ministry could look like and be
Mm-hmm.
in Hawaii, but it was a mainland context.
Yep.
I said I was all in. And then I got to watch your journey from youth pastor into senior pastor in those next few years. But, I was one of those local young guys watching another guy in youth ministry, not knowing the fullness of your background, where you came from, but then seeing how you progressed and saying, man, you were a great model for me as a young ministry leader entering into that space. So I think over the years, it was a combination of the mentality of my dad, the work ethic that we had inherently, but then watching others do what they do, what
Mm-hmm.
God called them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped build and form this ministry mindset that I have today.
Mm. I mean, the question that I have is really maybe not on my papers, but
Yeah.
I always admired this drive you have for people to live
Mhm.
out their great life.
Mm.
You always had this. And honestly, yeah, I worked in the secular, worked in the world. Then I volunteered and became a staff. But where I believe I got my work ethic was actually from you,
Mm-hmm.
because you and Pastor Lisa have this drive to see the great come out in people. Where did that drive come from? I mean, you even have the Great Life Planner now because of it.
Where did my drive come from?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think a lot of it came from being um second child syndrome.
Mm.
I would say
Mm.
that, my older brother, definitely he worked, but when you're for me, I wanted nice stuff, and I was getting hand-me-downs from my brother. And back now, today, hardly anybody gets hand-me-downs, but back then, it was a thing.
Mhm.
There were not a lot of clothing stores where I grew up. The brand of shoes today wasn't the brand that it was, and so I wanted stuff, and so I went to work. So
Mhm.
I would work, like I mowed lawns, tried babysitting. That was a big fail. Then I mowed lawns, and then from lawns to grocery stores, gas stations. And I think part of it, kind of like when I went off to college, when I became a single dad, that's when I realized I woke
Mm.
up
Wow.
again
Mhm.
at the age of 19 when I had to quit college and said, man, you got to work.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to work. And one job ain't going to be enough. Because, back then wasn't making a lot of money. So I had to get a second job. Uh, so I was working a restaurant. Restaurant's not a full-time job.
Mhm.
You come in at 4, you're done by 10. So that's a 6 hour that day. But what do you do in the morning? I saw guys working at restaurants coming in at 4,
Mm-hmm.
going home at 11, and going to the bar at night and spending their cash. Wake up the next day, 10 o'clock in the morning, living the good life. But for me, I was like, I can make money between 8 a.m.
Wow.
and 3 p.m.
Mm.
So I got to get another job. So that's what I did. I worked
Wow.
2 jobs for about 10 years.
Mm.
And you were
Two,
only 20, not even 21.
I was 19.
Ugh, wow.
Woo.
2 jobs for about 10 years.
Wow. That says something, Pastor Mike.
Well, when I worked at American Airlines, I was still running the youth ministry. American Airlines became a part-time job. Youth ministry became full-time. And then finally, when the Lord said, you got to let go of this job, I let
Wow.
go of that job. And so that's what I did. It's really interesting because I do have midday manna today at 12. So I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. But um, when I look at everything that was being done, I Lisa looks at me, she goes, really? Do you need to start something new again? Do you really? And she's worried about me, like
Mhm.
preserve me more for the church, so that I don't, crash and burn, and making sure that my drive doesn't drive me to the
Mhm.
ground. But I think there's always something in me. I don't like to stay idle.
Yeah.
I can slow it down. I can take a break. I can take a vacation. No doubt about it. I want it.
Mm.
But I also see opportunity.
Yep.
Mm.
And where there's a void, this midday manna filled a void. I'm surprised,
100%.
like 1,000 views per day,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty awesome. So we're gonna keep it going. And thanks to Pono, who's been helping me out with that.
Woo.
Shout out to Pono Kuamura. I can't pay you,
Yeah.
but I can shout you out. I can't pay you, but I can shout you out. And give me your shoe size, Pono. Give me your shoe size. We'll hook it up. But I see opportunity, and that's the
Absolutely.
thing. So
Mhm.
I don't fit into the normal mode where people would say, "Wait, you're a pastor. Just do what
Mm.
pastors do."
Mm.
Hmm.
I don't even know what pastors
Exactly.
do, because if I were to, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? I have such a great team. I can do more.
Yes.
And that's why I do more, because I have a great team. If my team couldn't handle, I can't do more.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
I had a very well-meaning relative when I was gonna first launch my consulting and coaching, and he said to me, he goes, "You don't have time for that. Why are you gonna do that? You
Mm.
don't have time for that."
Wow.
And I looked at him and I was like, "Who are you to tell me?" Like I was like, "Who are you? Wait, you don't even know what I do. Wait, you think that I'm, you know?" Anyway, I just was. I took a step back and I said, no way. I'm going to go
Mm.
do it even more now,
Yeah.
because if I'm going to step out in faith and this is the resistance I'm getting right away,
Yeah.
it means I'm going in the right direction. And sometimes people get resistance right away. So, oh, no, maybe I'm not. Okay, maybe I shouldn't. I'm
Mhm.
the other way around. No, if I
Mhm.
get resistance, then I'm not surprised, because I know the devil is going to want to stop me from doing something.
Absolutely.
So he's going to come in and from out of the blue, someone you never expected from told me, you don't have time for that.
Wow.
You don't have time for that. And I thought, no, I do have time for that. I'm going to make time for it. And so it's, we got it off the ground, and it's blowing up. It's going to blow up even more
Yeah.
Wow.
now that we've got velocity, we've got momentum. So
Mm-hmm.
I like it because I can coach, I can consult, I can pastor.
Yes.
And being a pastor of what, I don't know, average 6,500 people on the weekend, maybe
Mhm.
7,000 on the weekend right now. It's going to just get bigger. We just need more buildings, right?
Mm.
You're running
Yep.
700
Yes.
at
Yep.
your location, the second
Mhm.
largest location that we've got. We're building Capole right now. That capacity, 700 seat capacity.
Yep.
That's going to grow for sure. I can see that
Mhm.
going to 1,000 in a year,
Absolutely.
God willing, especially with the move of God that's happening in Hawaii. So,
Yeah.
um, the way that I look at it is, I don't look at my age. I don't look at
Mhm.
that. I just look at energy,
Mm.
Yeah.
and I look at passion. And when I wake up, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. It might take me a little while to get going, but I'm ready.
Pastor Mike, just don't slow down. I think what I've noticed and what I've observed is you know how to take breaks when you need them. And so we're here to just cheer you on and say, go for it. Because how you go, where you go, how high you go is how high we go.
Mm.
So I feel like, for you to pull back, it's like the Lord has multiplied your talents. He's increased your capacity since 19, even before that. You've learned how to increase that without knowing and maybe without people really understanding. Pastor Mike just has a different capacity. And I think people who are close to you, who know you, who are cheering you on, and who understand the dynamics of what you carry, the level of what and how you run with the weight you run with, I think it's significant because it is telling a generation, hey, don't waste your time. Maximize your time. Multiply what God gave you. And there's very few things that we can't control, but there's a lot of things that God's called
I
us
want
to
to see. I
control.
want to see our staff multiply what they've got.
100%.
Mm.
So you guys, you both are great examples of people that stepped out in faith, bought a house in any economy. There is no perfect economy,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
but we operate by God's economy, not man's economy.
Yep.
And so when we understand that God's going to bless us because we're obedient to the tithe, and when we do that, and then we do the offerings, God stretches your money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He stretches it. And I remember when you were living in your starter,
Yep.
your little
Mhm.
2-bedroom
Yeah.
condo,
Mhm.
2 bedroom,
2 bedroom, 2 bath.
2 bedroom, 2 bath condo, and a 3 bedroom home became available right up the street from the
4 bedroom.
church. 4 bedroom, four
Yep.
bedroom. And
Mhm.
I told him, you need to go get this house because I know the owner. And you were starting to talk yourself out of it.
I said, "Nah, Pastor Mike, we're good. We're good. We paid off all our debts. We only got the house left." And then you said, "Clint, maybe it's time to stretch.
Mm-hmm.
You got to stretch. Call in your harvest."
Mm-hmm.
Then you taught me how to call in the harvest because of the years of not only tithing but sowing above and beyond for the house. I learned a valuable principle then, which I still feel like I'm reaping that now today, which I feel like that's coming again next
It's
in the
gonna
next
come
couple
again.
of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then Jew, I know you bought a house, but in between it you bought another house, and in between it, and I was
Flip,
like,
flip,
what are you
flip.
doing? Okay,
Exactly.
like what are you doing?
But I finally got a single family home.
Yeah.
And I did not realize how different it was. It's completely different to own from a townhouse to a single family. But same story. I was trying to downsize, not increase. And I remember I was walking the streets of Chinatown in Honolulu when you called me and you said, just get the house. And I was like, do you know that this house is $1 million, Pastor Mike? And honestly, you are absolutely right. There is a spiritual, supernatural thing that happens when you just step out in faith and you trust God, you tithe, you do your offerings, you are generous,
Mm-hmm.
you live life not to hoard but to give. And
Yeah.
somehow God just released funds for us, and we're
Yeah.
able to live in a house we never ever thought in
Yeah.
Hawaii we could afford.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And if you want a single family home in a good neighborhood, it's going to cost $1 million today. It just
Yeah.
will, and it's not coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's never come down. It's not coming down. So
Mhm.
I love to see young staff members in their 20s and early 30s start thinking about it from the get go. Start thinking about owning a piece of paradise, so
Mm.
you don't have to move. You can have your own home. You can dictate your future. You can use that as leverage for another house down the road or another investment property when when you don't over leverage yourself, but you get that
Mm-hmm.
HELOC, and then
Yeah.
you begin to start to pay pay your bills off faster, use it as your bank. Anyway, I don't want to get into financial advice. Hashtag don't sue me. But I think that's very, very important. So
Yes.
that everybody starts living their life. And here's the deal.
Mm.
I bought our house when I was at the lowest of our totem pole
Wow.
on staff financially. When I worked at,
Come on.
I wasn't at the top.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't in the middle. I
Mm-hmm.
was right below the middle.
Yeah.
And Lisa was in the middle too. And when you looked at our income, wow, God did it. He gave us the best house for the price that we had. The interest rate was 9% back then, which is crazy.
My God.
9% interest
That's a
rate.
lot.
9%. But the house is $255,000. Yeah. That house was like today.
Oh,
It's crazy.
guarantee 600-700.
But that home helped me invest in four more properties.
So good.
Wow.
4 more properties in the
Wow.
future. So
Praise
that's
the Lord.
and I'm thankful because my wife wasn't on board all the time. She didn't have that faith level that I had in the beginning. So it was frustrating in the beginning.
Yeah.
She just needed more time and information,
Mhm.
more time and information.
Yeah.
And she finally came along.
Wow.
And so now, she's open to different ways of financing things
Mhm.
that, through, life insurance policies and stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guy that's worth more dead than alive.
Mm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? A lot
Preach
of
it.
people, because our money's tied up.
Mhm.
I mean, we're going in a different direction. Your money's tied
Yep.
up in a 401k. You can't get it. You know what I mean? And who knows what the tax level is going to be after that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then when you borrow off of it, it's good to borrow off of it, but now you're stuck.
Yep.
Now you got to pay that back.
Mhm.
Yep.
And it's not coming from your 5% or with your match.
Yeah.
It's coming from the outside now. It's
Mhm.
dollars that have been taxed
Yep.
to pay that off. And so
Mhm.
there is a better way that we're finding, and that's what we're doing.
Ooh.
I know that the audience that's listening or looking at us is asking, how do you prioritize your marriage when your capacity has just multiplied?
Oh, um, my marriage is priority. I don't have to prioritize it.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
That's the
good.
thing.
Yeah.
My marriage is prioritized.
Mhm.
I mean, it's my top. It is my priority.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't have a list of priorities. I don't necessarily have a list of priorities. I already know my wife, my
Yep.
kids, my church.
Yep.
That's my top priorities.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Mhm.
the question is, how do you make time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe that's a question. How do you make time? Well, we work together. That's number one. That's awesome. Number two, Lisa helps run the church.
Yeah.
She helps run this place. Honestly, she's really like the executive pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
She's got
Mhm.
capacity for that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
everything else that she does. So yeah, so we eat out a lot. We're together a lot.
Mhm.
I mean, if we have a lot of guests in our home, and hopefully, finally we're not going to have any guests, which is nice for once. For about maybe for 4, 5, 6 months, and then people come back.
Mm.
But that's great to have. But yeah,
And I would say constant communication. Pastor Mike, you are never not on your phone in a good way. Communication for you might seem like a strain for you, but it doesn't. It seems like it's natural. Whether it's a phone call, a text. I mean, and that's what I've observed is I think your touch points in relationships, especially the ones that obviously have that priority for you, you make that touch, and probably more than we
I
know.
try to, but I am over communicating to a
Yeah.
fault.
Mm.
I had one of my overseers just say to me, he was, Mike, can you just stay in the moment?
Mm.
Stay in the moment. Can you?
Mm.
Because I kept looking at my phone. Habit.
Mm.
And part of it was because my crypto.
Yeah.
I was trying to get my crypto. Talk. You know what I mean. I was trying to get that to shift, and it
Mm.
wasn't working. And I was having dinner with them,
Got it.
and he had to talk to me on the side, and I'm like, wow. And I took that to heart. I
Wow.
really did take that to heart. Like, no, yeah, he's probably right. He's probably
Mm.
right.
But see,
Wow.
I want to reiterate what Pastor Mike said. He said it is priority. So there is no competition. There is no having to prioritize because already it sounds so simple, but actually it's pretty profound because people allow their work, their hours, their distractions, their games to prioritize above family and marriage. But you don't even let it it's not even a competition.
No,
Yeah.
it's because we're always in communication.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm always texting or calling following up, seeing where she's at, try to coordinate our schedules to make sure. So automatically she's gonna feel like she's a priority.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She is the priority.
Yeah. Amen to that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I guess if you don't work with your spouse, you're gonna have to work harder on that
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that you have time away. You know,
Yeah. So
coffee,
true.
coffee together or a meal together or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. And I think people, when they compartmentalize,
Mm-hmm.
then they have to prioritize. Yeah.
Ask me a question on the sheet.
Yeah. So Pastor Mike, on the lines of your relationship with Pastor Lisa, you know, being that this podcast is releasing right during Arise conference, and this is the 14th year
All
being
right.
Arise, I saw a shift from when you encouraged her to start this conference,
Mm-hmm.
but you've always been a massive cheerleader on your wife's potential.
Mm.
And so, can you walk us through, like, what did you see even before you saw Arise? What did you see in your wife that brought her to this point?
Well, I saw it modeled in two couples for the model that we were looking for, that I thought we were looking for. John and Lisa Bevere.
Mm, mhm,
They didn't have a church, but you had two great authors, two great speakers who were doing it together. And then the other person was Brian and Bobby Houston.
Mm,
And then when I saw them from Hillsong, how they were doing it,
wow.
then I saw more people from the Southern Hemisphere where couples were teamed together.
mhm,
I'm talking about Australia and New Zealand, more than America in the mid 2000s, 2010, right around that period of time. I didn't see them. I'm sure they were there,
mm,
but the people that I noticed the most
Mm-hmm.
came from Australia and New Zealand, and it was a husband-wife combo. And I knew that if Lisa, it wasn't like you need a conference. That wasn't it.
mm,
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like I didn't want. Here's your time to shine.
yeah,
You know, here. Let me create this for you. No, no. It was about us being better together. The church being better together. The church seemed to always have a father, but the
yeah,
mother was only coming in for one service,
Mm,
or basically doing a good job at home and setting the table for the family and working an outside job. But I think what happened was when Pastor told me Lisa doesn't have to quit her job.
mm,
She doesn't have to quit. She doesn't have to take a secular job and go start at the bottom when you go start the church.
mm-hmm.
But even though the church couldn't afford both of our salaries, because I wasn't the first paid guy on church. When we started in 2001, Randy Kimura was the first guy. He still works for us today. He was the
mm.
first guy on payroll.
Wow.
Second person on
Wow.
payroll was Sherry Lau.
Mm.
Mm,
She's the second one.
Mm-hmm.
wow.
I was the third one.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
I didn't get put on payroll till after,
Come on.
which was great.
Yeah.
And I deferred a lot too. I deferred raises to other people. I deferred so that we could hire more people. I deferred. And finally, Sam Chan said, "You can't keep deferring, because
Mm.
if you keep
Wow.
deferring, you're going to be so low on the totem pole, and now to jump you back up, it's going to be a stretch.
Wow.
So we have to keep you up." Okay,
Wow.
so great. So what I saw was the potential of what a husband and wife in a healthy marriage, what that could look like leading a church.
Amazing.
Amen.
And then that's when um, John Bevere told Lisa, my wife, that she needed to go to Australia to go listen to Lisa Bevere and Bobby Houston and Christine Kane at the women's conference. I forget what they called it.
I think color.
Sisterhood? Oh,
Color.
color.
Color
Yeah.
conference.
Color. You got to go. And Lisa had never left the kids before. She didn't want to go, and we were coming back from my dream vacation, wasn't hers, to Argentina, and she would have to get on a plane that next day, and she did not want to go.
Mm.
Wow.
And so they convinced her, you need to go. And so she went. And when she went, this is her first time all by herself in a hotel room, first time going to a conference in like 15 years. And it rocked her, and she came back, and she didn't want to tell me. She held back. This is 14 years ago. And when she finally started telling me, she knew if I tell my husband, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And she told me, and she started crying,
Wow.
and
Wow.
she got it out. And I'm like,
Amazing.
and that's how we all started. And so her role became more and more important in the church.
Yeah.
Um, and where like if I'm not there that weekend, and she might not be even preaching, but she's just here
Yeah.
and she gets on stage, I feel like everybody's like, oh,
Mom's
mom's here. Everything's gonna be okay. Where's that? We don't care. We're good. She's good. You don't know what she's gonna say. You don't know how
True
she's gonna
that.
say it, but we'll clean it up later. And but no, she's awesome. You know, she's awesome.
She
So,
carries so much weight.
Yeah, she
yeah,
does.
she carries it. Well, I've had great times with talking with Clint and Ju for Jelana. It's been great here on the Pound for Pound Leader podcast. Again, go to MikeKai.tv, get your great life planner, but also the continuity program that I have for The Great Life, which is awesome, which is my monthly coaching program that I offer on that website. Go check it out. Love for you to join me on the Great Life journey for 2025 and beyond. And you can also get 2024 if you want that as well. So thank you for joining us in the Great Life podcast. God bless you guys. Take care. Aloha.